Hi there everyone, darkmindedsith here. I just have a couple of little things to talk about before we get into the episode. First, I'm really late here. I apologize for this, but I want to give a thank you to my friend BrynnaGiadrosich for the artwork you see here. She sketched me this little banjo drawing, and I, pretty much never get artwork. So, I definitely wanted to include it here, so thank you to her. And again, I'm late here. She probably drew this like a month and a half ago, so really sorry for the delay here. While on the subject of her, some of you may remember my recaps that I did back in my Ocarina of Time Let's Play. Well, her husband, and also friend of mine, Bikdiponabus, a number of you might know him, he recently had me do a recap for his Pikmin 3 Let's Play. It was a lot of fun. I'm happy with how it turned out. I think you guys will enjoy it if you're into my recaps that I used to do. This recap is at the beginning of part 8 of his Pikmin 3 Let's Play. I'll put a link in the description to that, and I'll put a link to their respective channels as well, Brynna's and Josh's. I highly recommend them. They're fun people. So thank you, Brynna, for the drawing, and Big Dip for having me on board for the recap. Okay, so next I have some information to give about this video and the next episode, part 50. For one of the jiggies that we get, I later in editing decided that I wanted this to be the last thing I cover in Cloud Cuckoo Land. So now that I've moved this to the end in my editing, that now means that the jiggy counter is all out of order. So to fix this, in this video in part 50, whenever I get a jiggy or any kind of item that's out of order, I'm just going to paste in the correct number over the actual number in the footage. So for instance, the first jiggy in this episode is Jiggy 85 in my file. But it's Jiggy 84 in the actual Let's Play, now that I've moved some of the footage around. So, just keep an eye out for that. Just know that's what that is. Whenever you see the Jiggy counter pop up, anything like that, and a new number is pasted over it, in this video in part 50, that's what that is. It's just me correcting the number. So that's it, blah blah blah. Thanks for tolerating this, and let's get on with the episode proper. Okay, so today is going to be yet another bittersweet episode, because we're going to be doing the last of a few things, because we're getting towards the end of the game. First up today will be our last transformation of the game from Humbawamba, which is very bittersweet to us, but I'm sure Mumbo is cheering something in Ooga Booga talk in his hut right now. We are finally done with his rival. So down there's one of the switches we hit. Inside that wonderful jello. I don't know why we didn't just eat it and then get down there. I'm sure Banjo would have had no qualms with that, but yay, fun times. And a pansy waiting for us. But anyway, let's go into the hut for one of the last times. Isn't this bittersweet? And something else is very bittersweet in here. Up at the top, right here, a Jinjo. But not just any Jinjo. The last purple Jinjo. And not just the last purple Jinjo, the last Jinjo of the game, folks. That's it. That's all of them. The Jinjos have all been reunited. All of them. All the families in Jinjo Village are happy and dancing. It's so sad. But that's not important. What is important is a fat bumblebee. Again. Wamba called this bee. Wamba not very creative with names. Okay. So hello again to the bumblebee. Banjo-Kazooie veterans will definitely remember this, because this is also the last transformation of Banjo-Kazooie. However, Humba is a little bit better in her bee transformation. This is quite an improved bumblebee. It can fly like the last game. But you can also hold B and go faster, and furthermore, we actually have a means of attacking. We can go first person mode and actually shoot little stinger things, which is awesome. And on top of that, I mean, at least from what I can see, we've got much more opportunity to fly. Because that was definitely one of the downsides to the Bumblebee in Click Clock Wood in the first game, is that you could only use it in the springtime, so it just made it very short-lived. So yeah, we can actually take a big, grand, wonderful tour of Cloud Cuckoo Land. Isn't this awesome? You can go first-person mode, and you can get rid of the crosshair, so it just looks like a fun little ride around Cloud Cuckoo Land. As I mentioned, with the Bumblebee actually being able to attack, we can actually finally get rid of these guys, the eyeballous Jigium plants. They haven't really terrorized us too much. They're not like the Hee-Haw guys in Hellfire Peaks or anything like that. Those enemies that just hit you constantly, but they are sort of a threat, and we do want to get rid of them. I'm actually doing things a little differently than I think they might have intended. Generally, one is holding the Jiggy, and yeah, as you can see, when you defeat the one that's holding the Jiggy, he's supposed to pass it to another one, but I went ahead and defeated a few of them that didn't have the Jiggy, so that didn't really happen. So our good, fun game of Jiggy Hot Potato did not happen. So yeah, I like the Bumblebee quite a bit. You could argue it's a little, like, unoriginal that it's the last transformation again, but the bee's just so cool, and it is actually fitting of this world. And it's so improved that, I mean, I don't mind it. It's fun. It's almost like a fun throwback to the first game, but with a nice shiny coat added. And it is nice to have transformations that can defend themselves.
My rare eyeballous Jigium plants! You've killed them all!
That wasn't very poetic and creative, Grundy. I'm very disappointed. Alright, so that is that for that Jiggy. The bee is getting into some action. Also, this little place right here is kind of interesting. All that's here is that eyeballous Jigium plant. You've also got like this big butt crack or something here. Almost like a Zelda bombable wall, but it's nothing. It's just there. You can't go into it. All that's here is that one plant that we defeated, so I don't know, maybe they just added that kind of scenery to it, but okay, so now let's take it even higher. Of course, with the Bumblebee, we're gonna go all the way as high as we can possibly get. Like the original Donkey Kong, how high can you get? At the very top is this mysterious thing. It is a Zubba, silver Zubba holding a target. Well, you can't just pass up that target. You have to shoot it lots of times, ZZZ. And of course I did horribly here, but
your shooting is not good enough.
Okay, that just happens. But you get kind of a fun little failure sound, like you don't hear that too much. So you want to go nuts and just shoot the target like crazy with our new stinger. Alright, and now the hive is open. Nice zooting. Not shooting, but zooting. So I guess if you went up there and shot eggs at it, I don't know if nothing would happen, or it would say, like, must zoot with stingers, not eggs, or something. I don't know, but anyway, let's wedge our fat bodies in here. And here are the Zubbas and their hive. This is much like Click Clock Wood from the first game. We were able to go into the hive and talk to the Zubbas. If you went in there during the summer, they tried to kill you. But fortunately, we are one of them, so they don't try to kill us. But we're going to play yet another fun point system game. And yeah, let's read the instructions because they're so unique. Alright, so he wants us to kill his friends. Get a certain amount of points. We can get a Jiggy, get a higher score, we can get a Cheeto page. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so were you guys born with these colors, or were they specifically painted for this game? Maybe they were born with those colors and they said, you know what, we might as well make a really tedious point system game out of this. Okay, so another one of these things. So I'm going to talk about something a little interesting in the meantime. So last episode we opened up Super Stash Deluxe with the combination 1984. and he remarks, "It's a real rare date." And I was curious about this because from what I looked up, Rare was founded in 85, not 84. So I thought, hey, let's get to the bottom of this. So I contacted Platonic Games to see if I could get an answer, and I actually got a response from Gavin. His response about this was, "I think, though the memory is hazy, 1984 was when the decision to create Rare was made, and the documents and company formation then took place in 1985. Possibly, don't quote me." So, and I kind of had that was maybe what it was, but yeah, so now we know a little bit of background information about what the 1984 means, more specifically. So, thanks Gavin from Platonic Games. Also, I unfortunately do not have time to talk about Platonic Games, but short answer, they're a bunch of former Rare guys, and they're working on a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, which is said to be a revival of the 3D platformer genre. So, woohoo! Okay, and now it is time for something very special. It is time to investigate what is up with these two Mumbo skulls. So I'm going to go to the top of this blue one here, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to find out what's going on. There's got to be something to this. Okay, Mumbo's sleeping, so that's a little different. Alright, man. What's up? You're napping, that's different.
Hello, Banjo. Mumbo has a big surprise for you.
Oh, I like surprises.
I think you're really gonna like this one. Is it my birthday? What kind of surprise are we going... Oh, what? What?
Har har har. Foolish bear, you fell straight into my trap. I'm not that pathetic shaman you think I am. I'm BrynnaGiadrosich, and your worthless quest ends here. As you see, there's no escape, and resistance is futile.
What in the heck is this nonsense? A Mumbo imposter! Die!
My elaborate disguise is ruined, revealing my evil cyboticness.
Okay, so this is BrynnaGiadrosich, the final world boss of Banjo-Tooie. Pretty interesting. You were maybe expecting some kind of sky boss of some kind, something kind of quirky relating to the world, but this is definitely pretty unexpected, I'll give it that. Pretty fun idea. There's not really much to him. The best way I've found is to mathematically, in your head, count how many times he's going to shoot you before he shuts down and has to kind of reprogram himself. And the number starts to go up, so just focus on dodging him primarily. And once that number's up and he starts reprogramming, or whatever he's doing, sort of malfunctioning, you can swoop in for the kill. As for which hut BrynnaGiadrosich is in, it is randomized every file. He might be in the red hut, he might be in the blue hut. It's completely random based on your file. To know which one it is, the Minjo, not the Jinjo, Minjo will always be in Mumbo's hut. And the Jinjo will always be in BrynnaGiadrosich's hut. It's the opposite of what you would think, but I guess the idea is the deception, the fact that it's a trap. The Jinjo would make it seem less suspicious, I guess.
I calculate my chances of stopping you are now.
You're terminated, fucker.
So BrynnaGiadrosich is gone, and that is it for world bosses. They put the Jiggy right on Mumbo's throne. How dare they? How can you sit where he stood? Okay, so here's something pretty interesting. I have 1 health. So, in this cutscene, BrynnaGiadrosich, when he attacks you, it does actually do damage. So, if you come here with 1 health, then this is what happens. Yeah, you die. Yeah, pretty cheap, gotta say, but whatever. And if you have died, and you come back here, he's just standing there laughing for eternity. Because I guess it wouldn't make sense to have him full Banjo again if we've already met him, but yeah, you can go up and get this dialogue, and all the bosses will have dialogue similar to this if you failed them, so that's pretty interesting. So, to answer some questions about Banjo-Tooie, one of the big ones was, what happens if you bring Mumbo in here, or another character? Unfortunately, nothing. If you bring Mumbo, Banjo only, Kazooie only, or the Bumblebee in here, he just stays asleep. Nothing happens, but you will take damage if you make physical contact with him. Also, if you defeat him before you ever talk to the actual Mumbo, same thing. Mumbo doesn't have any unique dialogue. Kazooie doesn't make any kind of remark, nothing like that. A little disappointing, but what are you gonna do? With that, that is it, and I will see you next time for the final video of Cloud Cuckoo Land.